Hi, everybody. My name's Lisa. As you could probably figure out from the title, this is Lisa. I'm going to start labeling these little conversations that we have. Lisa Says, and I'll keep them under a playlist called Lisa Says as well. But what I was moved to talk about next or first in this, to see where this stuff is going, I don't know even what to call it other than Lisa Says, was my connection with God and how that's changed and how it's because my connection with God or the universe, whatever you feel comfortable saying, I just use the word God. It's changed and developed and deepened over the years. As a child, I was very connected. And I'm talking like under the age of 5. I already had like traumatic things happening to me in my life at that time. And I always remember being surrounded by angels and speaking with my angels and, God, and always knowing that, I remember being told that one day I would understand why all this was happening to me. Okay. And, so anyway, so I've always been aware of a presence of something bigger than me, as a child, as I got older as a child, I always went to Catholic school. And so God started to become related to like the Bible and church and just very strict. And Sundays in my house were horrible. It was like World War III would break out amongst my family and everybody would have to get all dressed up. And I didn't understand. I remember just like, I would always, like, my argument was always like, why do I have to wear a dress? God doesn't care what we wear, to church. And, and then like, we'd all be like crying on the way to church or whatever from screaming and being screamed at. And then we'd walk in a church and it was just like so ridiculous to me. And it was a have to, today my relationship with God is nothing that feels like a have to. It is something that I want to experience and one that I want to expand. It's changed so much over the years. And I can say that when I got sober, because I've been sober for over 17 years now. It's like, what is it, July 10th, it'll be like 18 years. So, but when I first got sober, I pretty much felt like whatever God was around and whatever he had done for me, he was done. Like I had maxed him out, and little did I know, like my life was just beginning, for me, my life, really just started over again when I got sober. And, I didn't realize that at the time, I thought my life was like ending for sure, but, and I was never going to have any fun again, and, but, there were things that were taught to me and, they would say, oh, like, talk to my God until you find your own and blah, 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 blah. And for a while, that's what I did because I honestly thought that, God was done with me. I guess when I was about like 3 months into, not drinking and not using drugs, and I found out that I was pregnant, and it was pretty much like the worst time for me to find something like that out because I didn't have a dime to my name. I was down to like one suitcase worth of clothing. Like that was all that I had owned, to my name at that time in my life. And, the thought of having an abortion or giving my child up for adoption was just, it was not an option. Like I had done both of those options before in my life, and both left me incredibly broken, and I knew that if I had done or chosen to do either one of those things again, that I was going to cross whatever line that invisible line is of like sanity and like just totally losing it. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I just remember just like dropping to my knees and hopelessly surrendering, because I didn't know what to do. It makes me like want to cry even to this day. Like, but anyway, at that time, I did have a very profound spiritual experience, and I kind of got this vision of my life, like a fast forward vision of my life. And, I saw that, I wasn't really a great person. And it was very shocking, because up until this point, I just thought I was like this nice girl that just did too much cocaine and drank too much, and, I really saw who I was. And it was at that point, as a liar, a cheat, a manipulator, I just saw myself for who I was. And it was very, I just wanted to be somebody different so bad. Like once I saw all that and I felt it, like I felt it in my heart, who I had been and who I was up until that point. And so I remember just surrendering and just not caring if God was real or not, or what people thought. If I believed, and if I stepped out on this faith, that's why I always describe like faith as that moment in the way that I associate it with is that there's a scene from one of the Indiana Jones movies where he's like has to jump from one side of the mountain to the other, and he can't run and jump across it because it's too far, and his whip won't go and attach to something because it's not long enough. And then he realizes, oh, he's got to step out, and as he steps out, a stone appears, So I had no idea, and I didn't even care, of what people would think about me being pregnant, living in a halfway house. At this point in my life, I remember my mom had come to visit me one time, and she brought me like this big tub of red Twizzlers that someone had brought as a gift to her office. And there were that's what I ate. Like there were days that's what I ate. And those days, like they made me, so, I don't, I'm very grateful I had those days. And, but anyway, so I have this connection with, I'm just stepping out, on faith, and I'm just doing it. I decide I'm just going to commit to, staying sober. I'm going to commit to, just doing it and see what happens, like, and, it wasn't easy, it wasn't easy at all. And, I didn't have so much support, and, I wasn't really surrounded by people that I felt I could trust, and I had, I took it all like I put myself here, and it's not like somehow I would find this will to just believe that it wasn't always going to be this way. And, my relationship with God has changed so much. And just because like I got into this moment where I had faith didn't mean that I would always stay there, because some days I wanted to give up, I mean, it's not easy to look yourself in the mirror and see yourself for who you are and what you are, and try and change, and some habits like have taken a long time to break, and I'm not even gonna say that I've broken all my bad habits, because that would be a lie. And but I know that is with each experience in my life and every challenge that's happened, every time that I've like tried to hold on to something that I knew I needed to change, once I got to that point where it's like, a lot of times, like, because I'm a stubborn freaking woman, and I am so used to being on my own and not having to listen to anybody and not being willing to listen to anybody because I don't trust anybody, and it took me a long time to like let people into my life, but God put a couple of people into my life that I believed in, and I would listen to what they had to say. And these people also always would bring it back to me. They never were the kind of friends where we would sit around and bullshit and talk about other people. We didn't do that. Like when we were talking about our moves, like what we were doing, what we were working on. We were talking about, God, and we were talking about that kind of stuff, and that's where it's at. Like those are the kind of people that I want to hang out with. Those are the kind of people, I still like to gravitate to, which is why I don't hang out with too many people, because a lot of people like to point the finger the other way and forget that there's three pointing back at you. I had people in my life that just showed me, and taught me how to check myself first, and even in doing that, it doesn't mean that I checked myself first and was like, okay, let me change this. Like sometimes I saw what I did and I didn't care, It's like, I was like, well, that's not really that bad, or, sometimes I wouldn't say the things because I didn't want anybody to tell me that it wasn't something I shouldn't be doing, or whatever. But, the times that my relationship with God or my higher power or the universe, the times that that relationship strengthened were in the times where I was brought to my knees, to that place of surrender. And it's like being like held around my neck like this against the wall, feet dangling. And then I'm like, okay, fine, mercy, I give, but that's me. That's how I am, and, and I've remember plenty of times just like dropping to my knees and being like, fine, is this what you want? And I would give in, because like, I just don't have any other option. And when it all came down to it, that's the one place I could always go, was to God. Sometimes his lessons, God, the universe, like sometimes their lessons are, I mean, I always say God has the sickest sense of humor. Okay. He just really does. And, at least with me, but, I'm also like a very stubborn woman, like I said, and so he's got to hit me where it hurts, he's got to like, because I'm unwilling to give in until I have literally freaking tried everything, and, because it doesn't have to go there. But it's like, I just like keep running into the wall, keep running into the wall, keep running into the wall. And I laugh because, like, I mean, what else can I do? You know, I got to laugh at myself. There's nobody else to blame it on, at least for me. You know, there's just, I mean, I am the maker of my own messes. You know, I am the reason. I am the reason, like, for whatever is going on in my life, you know? And so, but with each of these lessons and like getting to the other side, you know, my bond with God has deepened. And in that, I've also got this history of how he has shown up, you know, usually at the very last minute. Okay. Like right when I'm about to like I'm like this far from just smacking my face against the ground. And here comes God, you know, coming in with like making it all like make sense. Like, oh, okay. Now I know why all that shit happened. Okay. But, yeah. So, I'm a believer, you know, that he is inside of me and he's inside of you and he's inside of all of us, you know, and, you know, I feel for me that my lessons that I've experienced and my heartaches and those things have happened to teach me to understand that there is no body or thing that should be placed like before how I honor myself. And in honoring myself and cherishing myself, like I'm also cherishing my connection with God, you know, and putting that first, you know. Do I always stay there? No, I don't, you know, I don't. But once I'm like, you know, when I'm going off track and things start to get a little hairy or whatever for me, or disruptive or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, Lisa, check yourself. What's going on here? You know, when I bring it back to, you know, like I'm hearing that song, Jesus, take the wheel, you know, whatever. Like that's it. It's not an easy thing. It hasn't been an easy thing for me, you know, anyway, because I'm a control freak, you know, and breaking down that control, you know, has been, it's taken like breaking down my ego, you know. Is my ego gone? No, you know. I mean, but that's where it hits me, in my ego, you know, because that's when I get hit there, I listen, you know. And the ego, for me, I mean, I don't know. I read somewhere once that the ego wants you dead. And that's just never that's just never left my thoughts, you know. And you know, and as I've like, I don't know. I don't want to make this too long. We're already at like 20 minutes. I know that my relationship with God has changed and continues to change, and it has broadened to other experiences as well, and um, just on this like huge universal level, it's just massive. It just is never ending. And to know that it all starts inside of me has been, I mean, it's just pretty wild, Um, I have many experiences in my life proving that no matter what, no matter what, there's a method to his madness. That's, I mean, there just is. And it doesn't have to make sense to me. You know why? Because, like, I had a friend, she used to always say to me, why you got to know everything? You some kind of control freak or something? Yeah, And it takes practice, the whole letting go, at least for me. I just because I do it once doesn't mean 5 minutes down the road I'm not going to have to do it again, But I know today that I do have a connection with God, with the universe, with all that is like, I don't know, it really blows my mind. It's allowed me to sit here in front of you and like share my story with like confidence. Like, I don't care what people think. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way. It's like, it doesn't matter, because like, I honestly feel like we all have our own journeys, like, and we're all going to end up in the same place, like maybe not at the same time, maybe not by taking the same road, but I don't know. That's just my theory. And, for me, it works best when I let go and give into, divine timing but is it always easy to stay there? No. I mean, I don't think I would be human if it was easy to stay there, But I practice, I practice. And sometimes I like to act like a brat and I don't practice, But, those, I can't really like get away with that too much anymore because I just don't like to feel, I don't like to feel off, Like if I act bratty, I usually check myself pretty quick these days, but doesn't mean that I can't still act bratty sometimes, So anyway, I guess that's it. I hope this makes sense. This is like, I don't know. I'm just going with the flow here. This is what God's been putting on my heart to share. And I'm just going to go with the flow and see where he takes me. And yeah, so bye guys. Have a great day. Love you.